It is a key district matchup here in the Region 1 District 2, as the winner of this ball game will take the #1 seed in this district, as it is Bowling Green with a record of 9-0 and a clean record in the district matchup as well, taking on Warren East, the host team, with a record of 5-4, 3-1 in the district. Hi everyone, I'm Terry Likes alongside Tony Bobrowski. Key district matchup indeed, and of course you talk about some key players in this ball game. Bowling Green certainly has the horses as far as overall team effort, team speed, and strength. Warren East certainly led by Jeremy Britt, the leading rusher in the state.
Yeah, and Bowling Green's going to try to rely on their offensive line advantage. They have about a 22-pound advantage on the offensive line, as well as a 7-pound advantage on the defensive line, and of course on the other side of the ball. Warren East is going to want to rely on Jeremy Britt. He might see the ball 40 times tonight, so we'll see what he can do.
Good crowd on hand, and you just saw the captains out on the field for the traditional coin toss before the ball game. Temperature, it's a pretty good night for the last regular season football game. Temperature in the mid-60s. The winds are light at this point. We've had no precipitation of late. The field conditions are good. However, the forecast calls for about a 70% chance of rain, so we'll see if we can get all of this one in for you. Bowling Green is the #2 team ranked in the Class 3A High School Associated Press poll. They're also #3 in the Courier-Journal-Lichtgenhaus ratings, and Tony, that's a mathematical rating as far as strength of schedule is concerned, and that doesn't mean as far as any class is concerned, Bowling Green is #3 as far as all classes in the state of Kentucky.
Certainly is, and Bowling Green is one of the odds-on favorites as soon as the 3A playoffs get underway, and that will be next weekend. And Warren East is definitely going to get in. It remains to be seen whether they will be the #1 or #2 seed. And the weather not really a factor here tonight, but there are several players playing both ways. And for Bowling Green, Quentin Woods, DeMont Franklin, and David Withrow will play both ways. And on the Raiders side of the ball, Jeremy Stuckey, Jeremy Britt, Stephen Anthony, Jeremy Steenbergen, Brian Finn, and Ben Simpson will go both ways. So a lot of guys going both ways for both teams tonight.
Well, you saw Randy Reese a moment ago. 4th year now as the head coach of the Warren East Raiders. And, of course, across the field you saw Kevin Wallace, now in his 2nd year as head coach of Bowling Green, but formerly the head coach at Warren East. So an interesting perspective there. Bowling Green in the white jerseys, set to kick off. It'll be Patrick Reynolds, and deep for Warren East, Jeremy Britt back at about the 10. It's a high, deep kickoff, taking Britt back inside the 10. And we're underway here at Warren East, and Britt has a good return set up. Out across the 25, the 30, to about the 33-yard line before taken out of bounds by the man who kicked off this football game, Patrick Reynolds. Our starting lineups for the football game: first for Warren East, Jeremy Stuckey will start at quarterback. The man who just carried the ball, Jeremy Britt, is the running back. Stephen Anthony at the tight end. We'll see Brian Finn and Sean Joyner at split end. Adam Brown at a wing, and Childers, Steenbergen, Laird, Flora, and Simpson up front. 1st and 10, ball 34-yard line of Warren East territory. We'll set the Bowling Green defense in just a moment. Check the lineups. It's Kalen Young, the sophomore, getting the start at quarterback, and the pitch is right side to Jeremy Britt. Britt trying to turn the corner on the far side of the field, and Patrick Reynolds is over there on the stop along with Daniel Withrow for the Bowling Green High Purples. On defense for Kevin Wallace's team, Eric Helm gets the nod at defensive end along with Kevin Goff. It is Withrow who was in on that tackle, along with Free Harrison and Sean Canarney on the front line for the Bowling Green Purples. Rose, Spencer, and Woods, the linebackers, Chris Franklin, DeMont Franklin, Brian Lauder, and Patrick Reynolds in the defensive secondary. On 2nd down now for the Raiders. Young hands off to Britt. You're going to hear that combination an awful lot in this ball game. Brian Britt has been known to carry the football sometimes as many as 50 times in a contest. He had 255 yards in the first half alone last week.
Jeremy Britt, certainly the athlete, leading the state in rushing as a sophomore, and unless a miracle happens, he will take the state rushing title again this year as a junior. And if you're Warren East, you really have a lot to look forward to next year, as Jeremy Britt will be a senior.
3rd down and 5. Britt is the lone setback behind the quarterback, Kalen Young. And Britt gets the call again on 3rd and 5. Bowling Green stacks it up. Not even close this time. It'll bring up a 4th down and about 3. And the punting unit will come on for the Raiders.
So really a critical defensive series if you're the Bowling Green Purples. On the first offensive series, really want to try to limit Jeremy Britt's carries. That time on 3 carries, he's only able to get 7 yards. And Warren East has to punt the ball away immediately.
Brian Finn is the punter. So 3 plays and out for the Raiders. DeMont Franklin lets the ball roll. It stays inbounds, goes inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line, and that is where the Purples will take over for their first possession of this district ball game, the final regular season game. And the Purples coming into this have won 31 consecutive regular season games. The only blemish since 1994 was last year's second round playoff loss, 10-7 at the hands of Callaway County. For Bowling Green, Damon Anthony is split to the near side. Chuck Beard is the quarterback. Tremaine Taylor the fullback. Quentin Woods the tailback, and it is Woods who gets the call. Trying to go over the left side of the line of scrimmage, and he doesn't get too much. Also in the backfield for Bowling Green, you will see Tremaine Taylor, of course, at fullback. T.C. Green and Jeremy Flippin will also see time at the right halfback. DeMont Franklin at split end along with Damon Anthony. And up front is going to be Gray, Moran, Joyner, Hunt, and Withrow. As you see Kevin Wallace on the far side in his second year, 11-1 last year for Bowling Green. It's going to bring up a second down in about 8. And Quentin Woods goes in motion. Beard looking to throw. Looking deep downfield, has T.C. Green wide open across midfield down to the 32-yard line. Chuck Beard, the all-time single-season pass leader for Bowling Green, adds to his yardage as he hooks up on a bomb to T.C. Green. A great-looking play. Green had single coverage, and he blew past his man.
Certainly is, and Chuck Beard was able to pick apart the defense that time, finding the open receiver, and if it hadn't been for Adam Brown making a saving tackle there, he might have scored.
Chuck Beard now with over 1,100 yards for the season. This time he gives it to the fullback straight ahead, Tremaine Taylor, who himself has had a great year. He's only a sophomore and has rushed for over 560 yards, including 133 versus North Hardin. And last week he had an even 100 in the big victory against Owensboro up in Rash Stadium. In fact, all 3 running backs, T.C. Green, Quentin Woods, and Tremaine Taylor, rushed for over 100 yards in that ball game, and you certainly don't see that too often. On second down and about 8 now. Chuck Beard under center. Green goes in motion, and Beard runs the option to the right side. It's Quentin Woods, number 34, and he's off to the races, down to the 10-yard line, inside the 10 before he is forced out of bounds. Bowling Green has so many weapons. Whether it's the quarterback throwing the ball or any of those backs coming out of the backfield, it's tough to stop them.
Certainly is, and when you're a defense and you have 3 guys that have the capability to run for 100 yards in one game, that really, you can't key on any one player. If you key on one player, one of the other guys is going to beat you. So Warren East has got to stay back, wait and see who gets the ball, and then try and make a play.
First and goal just inside the 10-yard line for the Purples, deep in Raider territory. T.C. Green gets the pitch this time, but he's halted right at the line of scrimmage. A good stop for the Raiders that time. Greg Flora in on the tackle for Randy Reese's squad. It's the goal line defense that is now in the ball game, and they mark the ball at about the 9-yard line. Check that at about the 11 now, as Green was thrown for a loss. We mentioned that Bowling Green backfield. T.C. Green with lightning quick speed, but he's easier to bring down if you can get him from the ankles. He's the smallest of the backs coming out of the backfield. The bruiser is Tremaine Taylor at 225 pounds, the fullback. This time it's Quentin Woods, a hole up the middle, but it closes quickly as he gets back to the original line of scrimmage before being taken down on the play.
So after Bowling Green has moved the ball nicely here on their first drive, they're going to face a long situation here on third down. Really a critical situation for Warren East, and you're a little bit of an underdog in this game. You want to make a big stop early, get the enthusiasm up, get the crowd into the ball game, and we'll see what they do on this play.
The front of Greg Flora, Justin Pascal, Matt Hardy, Jeremy Steenbergen, and Stephen Anthony holding tight so far, but on a third and goal from the 11, Beard looking to throw. For the right corner, has a man one-on-one, and T.C. Green could not come down with it. Brown there on the stop for the Raiders, and the Raiders hold. A good defensive stop.
And once again, Adam Brown is the hero on defense. Saved a touchdown earlier on this drive, and that time he prevented another touchdown. So really the hero of this drive. Going to make Bowling Green kick the ball now, so really a fortunate situation for the Raiders here.
Joe Davis in with the hold of Chuck Beard, the quarterback. Davis 3 of 3 on field goals this year. High enough, it is long enough, and it is good. So Bowling Green takes the early lead here, but Warren East survives a real scare, keeping the Purples out of the end zone. Davis now 4 of 4 on field goal attempts. He had a 35-yarder earlier in the year against North Hardin, 33-yarder against Franklin Simpson. And that is something Bowling Green's really been lacking in the past few years. They've always had the good ground game. They've always had a good defensive team against the run. And yet they've always had an erratic kicking game over the past few years. Davis, the sophomore, really seems to have solidified that spot for them.
And even though they have had the passing absent in the last few years, Chuck Beard has now set the single-season record for yards, breaking the old mark set by Steve Klein in 1981. So not only can they run the ball, they can get it done through the air as well. But if you're Warren East, you hate to give up any points, but only giving up a field goal gives your defense some confidence, says that you can stop the offense of Bowling Green, and that can really loom large later in the ball game.
A few umbrellas have come up here as we are in the first quarter with 7:03 to go, and the Purples have just gone on top on a Joe Davis field goal by a score of 3-0. Patrick Reynolds set to kick off. This one is high and short and taken by an up man for Warren East. And East with a good return out just across the 31-yard line, and that is where the Raiders will take over, 1st and 10. Raiders have gone with a tandem of quarterbacks this year. Kalen Young started this football game, and he is in there now. We have also seen Jeremy Stuckey throughout the year. But for the most part, it has been the Jeremy Britt show. Split out to the near side is Brian Finn. You see him right there in the right corner of your screen. He wears number 20. Brown goes in motion, and we have a flag down on the play, our first flag of the ball game.
And Warren East has certainly been bruised up this season. Only 3 guys that have been able to play the whole season. Of course, Jeremy Britt is one of those guys. And Jeremy Britt already 2,364 yards on the ground, a 7.3 yard average, 252.7 yards a game, and 27 TDs on the year. So he's close to his record of 32 touchdowns in a season, but not quite there. He'd have to score 6 times to beat his personal best in this game. And the closest in the state is Tyrone Robertson with 1,917 yards.
Well, he'll have his work cut out for him here because they just backed up the Raiders 5 yards on a procedure call. So 15 yards to go for a first down. And Britt, trying to go around the right corner, does not get much as Spencer comes up to make the stop for the Purples. Calvin Spencer, the 6 foot, 195-pound senior. Purples have great pursuit on defense. Guys with lightning speed coming up from the linebackers, the defensive ends, of course, holding their position, and from the secondary as well. It's going to bring up now a second down and about 10. So even when you think that Britt doesn't get much, he still gets 5 yards on the carry. Very elusive coming out of the backfield. He's only 5'7", about 180 pounds. This time Anthony in the backfield at fullback trying to create some holes for Jeremy Britt, and Britt still is not able to go too far. Spencer there on the tackle along with Sean Canarney for the Purples.
One problem the defense faces is they can make a good play on Jeremy Britt, hold him for no gain on that situation, but he's able to bust out at any time to get a long gain. He's had runs of 80 and 81 yards this season. Definitely has the potential to make a good play. So if you're the defense, you got to be heads up the whole time you're out there.
Well, the Raiders have had the football 5 offensive plays, and 5 times it's been a running play. We'll see if Kalen Young wants to go for it on a 3rd and 9 if they want to throw the football. Young rolling around the right side, fires it downfield, intended for Adam Brown, and it's complete with just enough yardage for the first down out about the 42-yard line.
As we hear the first outburst from the crowd of Warren East starting to get into the ball game.
So the first down of the ball game for the Raiders, and more umbrellas have gone up. Even the cheerleaders have their ponchos on now. 1st and 10 Raiders at their 43. Britt remains the lone setback, and he gets the call, and we've got a stoppage in the action, another flag down on the field.
Looked like some motion on the right side of the Bowling Green offensive line. We will wait and see what the call is. It's already 1st and 15, so, and it looks like it will be on Warren East, so they're going to push the ball back even farther.
Referee for this ball game, Corky Morse. The linesman, Ali Emerine. The back judge, Jay Allen. The line judge, Dan Tries. And the umpire, Andy Strain. 5 minutes, 8 seconds to go. First quarter. Terry Likes alongside Tony Bobrowski here at Warren East High School. Glad Glad to be bringing you another in a series of high school football games here on TKR Cable. On a second down and long now for the Raiders, it's Britt again. And he's running for his life, and he's thrown down at about the 39-yard line.
That time, Britt was clipped in the backfield. A lot of times when he sheds that initial tackle and goes on to get a big gain, but Bowling Green's swarmy defense was there after they made the initial hit and brought him down for relatively no gain.
It's not too hard to, if you're a Bowling Green defensive player, to figure out what Warren East will be doing on offense. It's typically Jeremy Britt right, Jeremy Britt left. And this time, Young looking to throw. And he hits the tight end, Stephen Anthony. And that is their other big offensive weapon. You don't hear too much about him, but Stephen Anthony is a big player coming out of the backfield. You either hear about his name in football or you'll hear about him soon when the round ball action picks up, but he's a fine athlete.
Not enough to get the first down, but, well, maybe it will be enough to get the first down because a personal foul is called on Bowling Green's team. But Jeremy Britt having a little bit of trouble running the ball so far in this game, but the passing game is working relatively effectively. And now Jeremy Stuckey has completed 2 passes, or rather, Kalen Young has completed 2 passes for 33 yards.
But he's only a sophomore quarterback, and you have a junior all-state running back. That's a pretty good nucleus for Randy Reese's squad. And I was watching Kalen Young in the pregame warm-ups throwing that sideline out pattern. He was really snapping that football. So because of the penalty, the Raiders pick up the first down, and it's their first time in Bowling Green territory with the football. This time it's Jeremy Britt, almost said Brian Britt, his brother, who played here last year. Jeremy Britt with the ball, and he is able to take the ball near the Purple 40-yard line with 4:10 to go first quarter. Purple's on top by a Joe Davis field goal, 3-0.
So the Raiders starting to mount an offensive charge here, helped by a penalty of the Bowling Green Purples. But moving down, threatening to score now at about the 30-yard line. We've got to go a little farther to get in field goal range, though.
Second down and 6. And Britt gets the call again. Spins around right near the line of scrimmage. But the mark always of a good running back is he's able to fall forward.
He was able to fall forward that time, but Britt was manhandled that time as he was tackled. Really a hard tackle, bringing him to the ground. And Bowling Green's going to do that a lot. They have some big bruising tacklers. Every time they get a hold of Britt, they're going to hit him hard, especially when he runs up the middle towards those linebackers.
Last year, Bowling Green manhandled Warren East by a score of 67-25. East would like to hit some revenge on that score, and here goes Jeremy Britt with his first real open field running room of the ball game. Britt gets inside the 25 to about the 22-yard line, and that will move the sticks. First down for the Raiders. Bowling Green has dominated this series over the years. 16-1 record against Warren East. The Purples outscored Warren East, check this out, 590 to 127. The lone Raider win was in 1985,
and if
6-0.
If you're Warren East, you know that's really got to eat at you. And now that they have a chance to beat Bowling Green, your team really wants it, your fans really want it, especially on homecoming.
Joyner split out to the far side, and now Brown goes in motion for the Raiders. And here comes Jeremy Britt one more time. We weren't kidding, folks, when he said he may carry the ball 50 times in this ball game.
And Jeremy Britt has already seen the ball 10 times. It's only the first quarter. And he has about 29 yards on 10 carries. So only 2.9 yards per carry to this point in the game. And he has been averaging 7.3. So Bowling Green's defense doing an excellent job and able to contain Jeremy Britt. But at any time, he can explode.
Second down and 8, and so far you can do the math in your head, but pretty soon you have to get the calculator out.
Especially with Britt when he goes for those long runs.
Second down and 8. Deep in Purple territory. Brown in motion again. Young fakes the pitch, now throws out to the far side of the field, and it's incomplete. Anthony was the receiver on the play. Could not come down with it, and he's a big target. Stephen Anthony, 6'4", 245-pound senior.
He is a big target, and a big target for Kalen Young, and we heard before the ball game that Reese might shuffle the quarterbacks around a little bit, and Kalen Young has seen all the snaps so far, and he's passed the ball relatively well, even though that last pass was incomplete.
3rd down and 8 with the ball resting just inside the purple 20-yard line. Joyner in motion. Young, straight drop back. Looks to throw over the middle. Complete and dropped.
There is a flag down on the field, but that ball hit the receiver right in the numbers, right where you want it to be. That's going to be a holding call, which is going to move the ball back even farther for Warren East.
And we may have to ask whether the light rain that is coming down may have caused him to not be able to hang on to the football. The Purples, trusting their defense at this point, decline the football, and it will bring up a 4th down. The Raiders are in 4-down territory here. They could either opt for, at this point, what would be a 37-yard field goal, but they are going for it here on 4th down and 8. They'll need to get to the purple 12-yard line to pick up the 1st down. Young, rolling right, lots of pressure. He heaves it up downfield, and it is intercepted by the Purples. DeMont Franklin going up higher than anyone else, able to come down with it.
DeMont Franklin really showing an athletic play there, jumping up, taking the ball away from the receiver, bringing it down, although Bowling Green will take over deep in their, or relatively near the goal line. Looks like they're marking it at about the 5-yard line.
And the officials keeping the ball under a towel until just before the center is to snap the football. So 1st and 10 at the purple 5-yard line. Quentin Woods left side, and he has running room. Goes right past Brian Finn, past Brandon Coulter, and it's going to be a touchdown Bowling Green. Quentin Woods inside the 30, the 20, 10, touchdown, 95 yards for Quentin Woods.
That certainly has to be one of the longest rushing touchdowns in Bowling Green history. 95 yards. Quentin Woods just able to get to the outside that time, and he was off to the races. No one could catch him. And Bowling Green takes the early advantage.
That puts Quentin Woods near 900 yards for the season and gives him his 9th touchdown for the season. He had 4 touchdowns alone against Barron County, and he had nearly 160 yards in the opening game of the season against Hopkinsville, just to give you some idea as to what Quentin Woods can do in the backfield. And he is only a junior as well. Chuck Beard holding. Good snap, good hold. Davis's kick is up, and it is good. And the Purples go out on top very quickly now by a score of 10-0 with 1:24 to go here in the 1st quarter.
And only 16 seconds elapsing off the clock on that long run that time for Bowling Green, taking the 10-point advantage. And Bowling Green has really got the job done in a relatively quick fashion. Really not taking much time to move the ball down the field, only about 3 minutes of total possession. But when you can get down the field like that, you don't need to control the ball.
Well, if you're on the Raider defense, you have to be thinking pretty confidently. Okay, we've got the Purples pinned back on their own 5-yard line. Let's shut them down here, make them punt. We'll get the football back in good field position. But Quentin Woods got that pitch, and you knew as soon as he got around Finn on that play, he was gone. Just the defensive secondary couldn't catch up to him.
And certainly now, as Warren East trails by 10 points, you really have to just keep your head on your shoulders, maintain your game plan, and just come out here and play still as hard as you can, because they're certainly not out of the ball game.
Reynolds this time bangs it deep to about the 9-yard line. Britt fumbles it back to the 5-yard line. Jeremy Britt spins out to about the 17, which is where the Raiders will take over, trailing 10-0 with 1:17 to go here, 1st quarter. Well, we talked about the Bowling Green backfield. Tremaine Taylor is a bruiser at 225 pounds. T.C. Green, a speedster. And Quentin Woods kind of in the middle there. He has the very quick speed. He's 185 pounds. But he also can lower his shoulder and put a hit on someone, too. Well, it's 1st and 10 for the Raiders. And they mark the ball at the 15-yard line. Finn split to the near side. Joyner goes in motion. Defense shuffling along the line of scrimmage, and Britt gets the call left side. And he is taken down by a swarm of Bowling Green tacklers, including Goff, Goff was over there on the tackle. Chris Franklin also came up from the secondary. No secret that the linebackers and the defensive secondary players are just keying Britt coming out of the backfield. The only thing keeping the defense honest at all is that Kalen Young has had a little bit of success throwing the ball.
Certainly, Bowling Green has done an excellent job containing Jeremy Britt on the ground, and you got to think if Warren East is going to have some success, they're going to have to mix it up a little bit more and throw the ball a little bit more.
On 2nd down and 10, here's Britt one more time. And a good ankle tackle that time by a Bowling Green defender. It was Calvin Spencer from his defensive end spot, putting a lock on Jeremy Britt. Let's just give you an idea as to what Jeremy Britt has done over the past 2 years. He holds the single season one-game rushing mark. He did that earlier this year against Owensboro, over 400 yards in one game. For some backs, that is half a season. And he did that in one game. Over 2,000 yards last year, had more yards than Mr. Football, Derek Homer, and over 2,000 yards this year. On the final play of the first quarter, Kalen Young finds a receiver complete, but not enough yards for the first down. As he completed it to the tight end, Stephen Anthony.
Bowling Green continues to gang tackle. As soon as Warren East catches the ball, there's 8 defenders there to bring down the ball carrier. And we talked about Britt. Not only has he rushed for over 480 yards in one ball game, he holds the Warren East record for TDs in a season with 33 TDs. Also has the most yards rushing in a season with 2,490 yards. Most rushing yards in a game, and that we mentioned that was 480. 340 was the mark last year that he beat this year. And the previous record for the most yards passing in the season for Warren East is Russell Ratliff with 2,035. So Britt has been the highlight for the offense of Warren East to this point in the season. And if Warren East is going to come back in this ball game and put a touchdown on the scoreboard, he's going to have to do a little bit better. Bowling Green able to do a good job containing him to this point. 12 carries already, only 28 yards on the ground, so really limited him. But at any time, he can bust free for an 80-yard gain. And Kalen Young has had some success, but it looks like that Warren East will punt the ball away here to start the second quarter.
And it is Brian Finn set to punt this one away. DeMont Franklin and Quentin Wood standing at midfield. Finn hangs up a high, wobbly kick. Franklin calling for the fair catch, bobbles it a little bit, looking up into the slight rain, but he takes it down at the 46-yard line. So the Purples will have excellent field position following that punt by Brian Finn. And now it's up to the Raider defense to hold. We were talking with Randy Reese before the ball game, the head coach of the Raiders, and he said, you know, I think that my 11 match up well with the Bowling Green 11. The question is just how deep can we go? Because I don't think if we start going 14, 15, 16, do we match up well with their depth coming off the bench. Well, right now it's 1st down and 10 Bowling Green, and they give it to Quentin Woods, a little trap play up the middle. He goes around several players, and he is off for the end zone again. Quentin Woods at the 5, touchdown, Bowling Green. "46 yards on the score for Quentin Woods, and that on a 1st down again. Remember the series before, Quentin Woods on a 1st and 10 from the 5-yard line goes 95 yards. So we've been talking about Jeremy Britt right, Jeremy Britt left, but it's been Quentin Woods off to the races in this ball game so far.
And it's a Quentin Woods offensive explosion on 2 carries, 140 yards, and for the game, only on 5 carries, 164 yards.
Joe Davis just does kick that one through. Chuck Beer did a good job of scooping that one up out of the wet grass and putting it on the tee, and Davis kicked it through. And the score is now 17-0 in favor of the Purples with 11:43 to go here in the second quarter.
Somebody on the sideline must have told Quentin Woods that it only took 16 seconds to score on that last drive, because it only took 11 seconds to score on that drive. And really, just Quentin Woods showing his offensive ability, running the ball in 2 big plays. Not often in a game do you see a running back run the ball, break free for 2 big touchdowns like that, and we're only early in the second quarter.
Well, you mentioned that Before you know it, though, Jeremy Britt can run for 80 yards. Earlier in this season, he ran for touchdown runs of 80 and 81 versus Allen County Scottsville. But you can't really compare the Patriots to this Bowling Green Purple squad. The Purples are so tough on offense, that's what you think of, but they are tough on defense as well. Reynolds' kick this time is high and taken by Britt around the 10-yard line, trying to set up a wall of blockers in the middle of the field. And Britt is out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line, and that's where Randy Reese's Raiders will take over, first down and 10.
Certainly mentioning the Bowling Green defense, a very talented squad, ranked 8th in defense and total defense in the state, and they have scored 88 total points this point in the season. That's an average of 8.8 points per game.
First and 10 now for the Raiders. Finn split to the near side. And the give is no surprise to Britt, following his blockers around the left side, across the 30, and that's a pretty good pickup on first down of about 8 yards. Spencer there on the tackle along with Kevin Goff. 11:20 now to go, first half. It'll bring up a second down and 2 now for the Raiders.
And for Warren East to get back in this ball game, they really need to take the ball down the field here and score on this possession.
They're now lining up Stephen Anthony actually in the backfield. Give a little more blocking for Britt. Didn't help much on that play, however, as Bowling Green read that play perfectly. Eric Helm in there on the stop for the Purples, as Britt did not get much beyond the 30-yard line on that carry. About the 33-yard line, it'll bring up a third down and a long one for the Raiders. So Britt picked up 1 that time. Finn split out to the near side. Raiders drastically need just to pick up a first down to keep the defense off the field for a while. And Britt not able to pick up the first down. Calvin Spencer over there, along with Kevin Goff again on the stop. Also for the Purples, Eric Helm. So fourth down and about 2 to pick up the first down. An interesting call here. 10:03 remaining in the second quarter, and they're going to have an official timeout. They want to see how close this one is to a first down. I don't think it's that close, but I don't have the best angle on it from right here.
Doesn't appear to be that close, but Jeremy Britt facing his toughest challenge of the season to this point in the season, and maybe facing the toughest defense that he has seen all year in the 8th-ranked Bowling Green Purples.
Now, we should mention that you always have the option of calling for a measurement here, and if anything, that buys you about 20 seconds to decide what kind of play you want to call. In this case, they are going to send the punting team onto the field. It's at the point where you are too deep in your own territory and you're trailing by 17. To go for it on fourth down and not get it would be suicide, so they're going to kick this one away. DeMont Franklin is the lone man back deep to return this punt for the Purple, standing at about his own 40-yard line. Finn to punt it away again. High snap, but not a major rush, but he shanks it off the right side of his foot. The ball goes out of bounds. And that, Brian Finn is not happy about. His head down. That kick, a 1-yard punt.
Certainly a frustrating play in that situation, and boy, if Randy Reese had it to do all over again, he knew that was going to happen. He probably would have gone for it on fourth down, but that's just one of those things that happens sometimes with the punters. The ball is a little bit slick out there, and a bit of a high snap makes it a little bit harder to get the punt off in those situations.
Bowling Green now with great field position. First and 10 in Raider territory, and Tremaine Taylor gets the call. Look at him. He's a load to bring down. He is down inside the 20 to the 19-yard line and picks up another Purple first down. We haven't called his name much, so when he does get the call here on first down, he makes the most of it.
So after Quentin Woods has carried the ball 5 times, now Tremaine Taylor might see the ball some on this drive. Two carries for 16 yards so far.
He had an even 100 yards last week against Owensboro. That game was in the rain at Rash Stadium as well, and here's Taylor on the carry again. What a fine-looking young running back. Only a sophomore for the Purples. Really runs with power and with speed. He wears number 38, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with for the next couple of years.
And Bowling Green, as they move forward towards the playoffs, really showing their team is coming together at the right time. You really want to see that if you're any coach, peaking at the right time, especially approaching the playoffs.
Taylor picked up 7, 2nd down and 3, and this time it's TC Green. He squirts through the line of scrimmage, picks up the first down for the Purples, and he is inside the 10-yard line. Slow to get up, but he's okay. Little TC Green on the play. 5'8", 163-pound sophomore as well. When you think about it, Chuck Beard is the senior quarterback, but Woods, TC Green, Tremaine Taylor, and Jeremy Flippin all underclassmen in the backfield. Bowling Green is going to be loaded again next year.
Certainly so. A very talented squad this year and next year as well.
This time the handoff to Taylor again, and East does a good job stacking it up. And to add to that point made a moment ago, if you look at the Bowling Green offensive line, of course they juggle in Gray and McDougal at tackle. McDougal's a sophomore, Gray a senior, so figure McDougal will go in at tackle. They'll lose Lucas Joyner at center. So you figure 4 out of 5 offensive linemen with experience are returning.
But Darrell Gray, the senior this year, really a load. Got to be one of the biggest offensive linemen in 3A at 280 pounds.
2nd down and 5 at the 5. Quentin Woods back in the ball game. He squirts through, and he is very close to the goal line. Woods taken down by Anthony and Steenbergen, and they're going to mark the ball close to the goal line. Damon Anthony checks back into the ball game with 7:35 to go, first half.
So Bowling Green just opting to one play, run a bruising run up the middle, then the next play, a quick back up the middle.
Hand off to the fullback, and he's not in. Good stop by Stephen Anthony that time. That's 245 pounds, taking down 225 pounds. So, 4th down and about 1 now for the Purples.
Looks like the offensive unit is staying on the field. One of the wide receivers for Bowling Green is over there trying to figure out what the call is going to be, but it seems that Bowling Green will go for it, but they will call a timeout first to talk it over.
First time out of the ball game, and it is assessed to the Purples. Kevin Wallace wants to talk it over. He is an interesting story, a little bit of irony in this ball game. 11-1 last year, former assistant for 2 years under Dan Haley, but before that, 10 years as head coach here at Warren East. He compiled a record by my count of 46-58. Kevin says he never keeps track of those kinds of numbers, but now has gone over the 500 mark for his own personal career record.
And
but 11-1 last year, 9-0 this year. That's off to a great start. He's really upheld the tradition that Bowling Green, all of the success that Bowling Green has had over the years.
Certainly has. And anytime you come back to the field that you once coached, it means a little extra something to you. You try a little harder. You want your players to play a little harder so you can beat the team that maybe you got your start with. And you see that with players too as you move up on into college and the pro ranks.
Kevin still is a very young man, but he was a very young man 14, 15 years ago when he first took over as head coach. But here his offense on 4th and goal gives it to Quentin Woods. He goes diving over, and it is a touchdown, Bowling Green.
It's been the Quentin Woods show so far in this game, and it remains to be the Quentin Woods show, scoring 3 touchdowns so far midway through the 2nd quarter.
Wow. 95-yard TD. Now he has a 1-yard TD. And Davis on to attempt his 3rd extra point of the ball game. Of course, he has a field goal to his credit as well. Low snap again. He kicks it up, and it is good. Joe Davis makes it 24-0 with 6:58 to go. In the 2nd quarter, it has been all Bowling Green so far here on the Raider Field. Senior night for the Raiders. The seniors honored before the ball game, but they haven't had much to cheer about so far. And the Purples have dominated this contest. And again, last year, Bowling Green dominated in a big way, 67-25. They have led this series for many, many years, owning it by a 16-1 count. The only time the Raiders have won, 1985, by a mere 6-0 score.
And Bowling Green able to move 34 yards on 7 plays for the score, capped off by Quentin Woods' 1-yard run. Really getting the job done quickly, scoring every time with under 3 minutes of possession.
Jeremy Britt now standing at about his own 5-yard line, and Reynolds will take his 2 steps and kick it downfield. Gets a good foot into it this time. Britt allows it to bounce, and gets a lucky bounce in trying to hang on to it. Now he tries to turn on the afterburners, and he gets out to about the 24-yard line. Britt taken down on the play by Jeremy Flippen. Flippen goes off the field. The Bowling Green defense takes charge, and the Raider offense will try to get going with under 7 minutes to go first half. 1st and 10, ball just inside the 25-yard line. Britt again the lone setback behind the quarterback, Kalen Young. Brown goes in motion to the near side. Kalen Young rolling. Dangerous pass complete to Stephen Anthony, as Anthony was able to burn Eric Helm on the play. Now here's a key matchup. Helm only goes 5'10", Anthony goes 6'4", and I think if Anthony had only been 6 feet, he would not have been able to make that catch.
Yeah, Stephen Anthony just reached up and was able to make that catch. A little bit of a high throw that time, but he's able to make an athletic play and get about 6 yards on that reception.
It is a 6-yard gain, 2nd down and 4 for the Raiders. Again, Brown in motion, and the defense checks off. Here goes Britt, looking for running room to the left side. Britt is close to the first down marker. It'll bring up a 3rd down and about half a yard to go for a first. And Kalen Young looking to the sideline for a call from Randy Reese.
And every time that Warren East has attempted to pass the ball, they've come back on the previous play and had some effectiveness running the ball. And even though Bowling Green's got to know that Jeremy Britt's probably going to run the ball after Kalen Young steps back for a pass, it really gives your offense a little bit more balance, and now it sets up 3rd and 1 instead of 3rd and 8.
Again, Anthony in the backfield, kind of at a wing to do some blocking. Britt gets the call. He's trying to go right behind his blockers, and it's going to be very, very close. We'll just have to see where the officials mark the ball. That line judge running in from the sidelines, and they do indicate that Britt was able to get across the 35-yard line and just enough to pick up the first down.
So Britt already seen the ball 17 times, only able to gain 41 yards though, but did a good job on that possession, able to get the first down, dive underneath, and pick up the first down.
Well, in case you just joined us, Bowling Green got on top in the first quarter on a Joe Davis field goal, and then Quentin Woods had a 95-yard touchdown run. Later, Woods scored again, and just moments ago, he scored again on a 1-yard touchdown plunge, and Bowling Green leads now by a score of 24-0. We've got an official timeout on the field. Raider football.
And Quentin
1st and 10, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Quentin Woods already with 168 yards on the ground on only 7 carries, so really doing a good job for Bowling Green.
1st and 10 Raiders. They have all 3 timeouts remaining. They fake the handoff, and Kalen Young's in serious trouble. Quentin Woods, the man you were just talking about, Tony, in on defense, rushing the quarterback, and Kalen Young had no hope on that play.
So not only is it the Quentin Woods show on offense, on defense as well, really Quentin Woods getting great penetration, just busting through the offensive line that time, and just his quickness, able to run down the quarterback and sack him deep in the backfield, now setting up 2nd down and 20.
Actually looks to be about 22, and there was a holding call, but Bowling Green will decline that penalty. So minus 12 in the column right there for Kalen Young, as he really had no hope. And
so just when the offense had started to show a little bit of a bright spot there, a holding penalty as well as a sack.
3 receivers now to the near side. Young sets up, he's hit on the play, and not able to get that pass off, as 2 Bowling Green defenders able to get in to Kalen Young, including Free Harrison, and Harrison has been a force. Didn't hear his name much last week, and we haven't called his name much tonight, but Free Harrison with 6 sacks for the season. Not able to record the sack there, but was able to rush the quarterback. It's going to be a third down now and 23 yards.
And Free Harrison, another big guy as well, a 5'10", 260-pound junior. So he'll be here next year as well for the Bowling Green Purples. And on the last two plays, the offensive line of Warren East just seemed to go to sleep, allowing the penetration and the 2 sacks.
And on 3rd and forever, Jeremy Britt gets the call, and Eric Helm throws him immediately for a loss. You certainly have to think now, with the track wet out there due to the light rain, that it favors the Bowling Green defense. You'd have to think that a dry field out there would help Jeremy Britt a little bit trying to get to the outside.
It certainly does, and makes it a little harder to get. Once you get going, it's okay, but that quick acceleration when you first get the ball, it's a little harder to run.
Finn, with a 1-yard punt last time, shanks it again off the right side of his foot. This time he gets the benefit of the roll, but the ball doesn't even get back to the original line of scrimmage. Of course, they had a penalty, so it was 4th and 23. But Brian Finn not helping out his defense at all in the punting game.
Something's wrong with Brian Finn. He's just kind of out there on the field hanging his head, maybe a little lackadaisical. After you have a punt like that on the previous 1-yard punt, you just got to shake it off. He got a good snap that time, just wasn't able to make a good play, and now he's going to stay in on defense. So you really hope that something's not wrong with him, and maybe if you're the coach.
Chuck Beard looking to throw for the end zone to DeMont Franklin, touchdown. Wow, the quick strike offense of the Bowling Green High Purples 3 times now have scored on 1st down. Quentin Woods twice on long runs, and now Chuck Beard hooks up with DeMont Franklin.
And Bowling Green, a little surprising, really been running the ball, taking a lot of time off the clock in previous games this season, but they've scored on several drives quickly through the air and on the ground.
Davis's kick is just inside the left goal post, and it makes it 31-0 with 4:07 to go here, 2nd quarter. The Purples just pulling away here in the 2nd quarter.
So you got to wonder on the sideline, probably not, but they keep breaking their own record of quickness and scoring with an 11-second drive, a 16-second drive, and a 4-second drive. And of course, the 16-second drive was the long run by Quentin Woods, and then Quentin Woods, a 46-yard run, only taking 11 seconds off the clock. And on that drive, a Chuck Beard touchdown, only taking 4 seconds off the clock, gaining 33 yards through the air.
I was just about to say, when they set up for that 1st down and 10, that you knew the backfield could smell the end zone at that point, and Chuck Beard said, I'm going to get it this time. And DeMont Franklin running a little slant-in pattern toward the goalpost, and he was wide open. This time, Reynolds' kick is high and short, but East fumbles it on the play. A swarm for the football. Bowling Green says it has the football. We haven't had an official indication yet. And it is Raider football. So Raiders survive another scare.
Yeah, Warren East catches a break there. Really would have been a disaster had Bowling Green come up with that ball, and that time Bowling Green electing to kick the ball away from Jeremy Britt. Even though they've done a good job of containing him, they don't want to give him the chance to make a good athletic play.
Joyner out to the near side. Brown goes in motion again, and it's Jeremy Stuckey in at quarterback now, and he is running for his life, and it's picked off. Stuckey's first pass of the ball game picked off by Patrick Reynolds. So Reynolds, who had a big game on defense, being in the backfield many times, that time going down the line of scrimmage and able to actually pick it off.
You hate to see this happen to any team, but Warren East just falling apart a little bit here in the 2nd quarter, making some middle mistakes. An interception there, a 1-yard punt, a 3-yard punt. That really hurts the morale of your team.
Reynolds actually started the year at defensive end, moved into the secondary. Beard looking to throw again. That one ill-advised, but he caught it into triple coverage, and DeMont Franklin comes down with it. An unbelievable catch.
All I've got to say is, wow, that was an amazing catch. The defense hit the receiver on that play, but DeMont Franklin was able to come down with the reception, get the 1st down, make a one-handed grab. Got to be one of the best catches we've seen all season long.
And I don't think any coach would argue with me when I was about to say it was an ill-advised pass. When you throw into 3-on-1 coverage, the odds don't favor you. But when you've got DeMont Franklin out there, it is amazing. And he came down with it. And this time, Bowling Green off to the races again. This time, it is Jeremy Flippin in for the touchdown. From 10 yards out, uncontested, in for the score. Well, we haven't seen Jeremy Flippin much lately. 166 yards for the season, but now he makes it 176.
So once again, Bowling Green wastes no time, scoring again in 15 seconds that time.
Davis has been flirting with disaster on extra points, and that time does not get it.
Bowling
pushes
Green
it off to the left side. That's Davis's 5th miss of the season. But it remains a huge Bowling Green lead, now 37-0.
Bowling Green really racking up the offensive yards. Now Tremaine Taylor with 24 yards on the ground. Quentin Woods with 168 yards on the ground. T.C. Green with 6. Jeremy Flippin now with 22. And Chuck Beard has completed 3 passes for 93 yards. So approaching the 300-yard mark in total offense, and we're only in the first half.
And Randy Reese can't be happy with what he sees from the Warren East sideline, as his team is really put in a hole here in the first quarter. Well, following the Chuck Beard touchdown pass to DeMont Franklin, only 35 seconds later does Jeremy Flippin go into the end zone for the score. Patrick Reynolds kicking off again, this one a little bit deeper. Jeremy Britt runs to his left and takes it at about the 12. Britt squirts through and out near the 30-yard line. Helm there on the stop along with Reynolds. And Jeremy Britt, as you see him go back to the huddle, will try to jumpstart this Raider offense. So as it has been all Bowling Green.
Even though you're down 37 points in this situation, it'd be tough to get back in the ball game, but you don't want to just give up. You want to play hard. You want to make a good representation of yourself, still maybe get into this ball game and have a good showing for your team.
Stuckey is the quarterback, and he hands off to Britt. And Britt is tackled by Brian Rose on the play, but not until Britt is able to fall forward for about 2 yards.
Bowling Green continues just to limit Jeremy Britt on the ground, not allowing him to bounce to the outside, not allowing him to do the spin move that he has shown us all season long, really spinning, usually getting extra yards, but Bowling Green just getting there in a hurry, and not only getting one guy, but getting 2 to 3 guys there.
They call it 2nd down and 8, and the rain coming down a little bit heavier now here at Raider Field. Britt this time gets the call, and he is out across the 35 before being taken down. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 5 now for the Raiders. But Britt fighting for every inch that he can get out there. We haven't seen any runs of more than 10 yards for Jeremy Britt in this game, whereas the purple running backs have been all over the field. Quentin Woods has scored several times. Jeremy Flippin just went in moments ago. T.C. Green saying, hey, give me the ball. This time it is Britt again. He does get to the outside, but a good tackle made by Brian Lauder, the junior defensive back, coming up and making a good open field tackle on the elusive running back, Jeremy Britt.
Britt still able to get a couple extra yards on that situation, but short of the 1st down. Bowling Green will give up a couple yards. Sacrifice Britt getting to the outside, but they're just not letting him get any farther than that, and that's going to set up another 4th down situation.
Scoreboard says 4th and 1, but it looks more like 4th and 2 to me, as they need to get to the 40-yard line to pick up the 1st down. And they're going for it on 4th down, and guess who gets the call? Britt gets the 1st down for the Raiders. That was a tough call right there. That was a gut check for that Raider offense.
Certainly was, but Britt showing his toughness, falling forward for the 1st down, moving the chains. And that's what we talked about when this drive first started. If you're a coach, of course you hate victories, but the one thing that you hate even more is a lack of intensity, and when you get down in a ball game to just roll over. And that's exactly what Warren East is not showing us. They're showing us that they want to stay in this ball game. They're playing a big rival, a district rival across town, in their homecoming. And even though it's 37-0, if you can come back, score a few touchdowns, you never know how it can change the flow of a ball game.
Well, again, you can't look at this as 37-0 and this is our season, because you're going on to the playoffs one way or the other. So Warren East, even if this winds up being a losing effort, they will have to regroup and look at who they may possibly play in the first round of the playoffs. And if you look at the district matchups, it will likely be that East would go on and take on the third round team in the first district of the first region. And at this point, that could be either Paducah-Tillman or Callaway County, and that's a tough foe right there.
Certainly so, but you will be the number 2 seed in the playoffs in this district, even if you do lose this game. So if you're the Raiders, you got to keep your heads up.
Minute and a half to go in the first half, and Britt gets the call, and he's throwing for a loss. Wow. Eric Helm with a good tackle in the backfield, throwing Britt for a loss, and I'll bet you could count on your hand how many times Britt's been thrown for a loss in the backfield.
Not many times this season, but Bowling Green has done it 2 or 3 times in this ball game, and that's not something that Jeremy Britt is used to. Maybe a little frustration for Jeremy Britt, but he's still, able to get some yards on the ground in this drive.
Just goes to show you how big, quick, and strong Bowling Green's defense is. This time, Britt throwing for a loss again in the backfield. Sean Canarney that time in the backfield. Tremaine Taylor in there. We've got a fraction. It was Canarney in on the tackle. They said Taylor, but Taylor doesn't play on defense. Canarney that time, 5'11", 190-pounder. And it looks like we're going to have a call going against the Purple, so that will favor the Raiders. And after a couple of losses in the backfield, the Raiders will take anything they can get.
Certainly so, and the call is blocking below the waist. Not a call that you see very often, but Jeremy Britt was the only guy in on that play, and about 4 guys of Bowling Green, so you knew as soon as the flag was thrown, it was on Bowling Green. But it doesn't appear that it will give Warren East a first down, so when you can get a penalty, especially a 10-yard penalty, and not result in a first down to the offense, you know your defense is doing something good out there on the field.
Quickly to recap the first half, we opened with a Davis field goal, making it 3-0. Nothing, that is. Then Woods scored 3 times, and before you knew it, it was 24-0. Chuck Beard then connected on a 33-yard touchdown pass to DeMont Franklin, and 35 seconds later, Jeremy Flippin ran it in from 10 yards out. An extra point was no good by Davis, the only miss he's had so far this evening, and we are at 37-0 with 51.1 seconds to go, and Kevin Wallace pleading his case on the far side of the field right now, and he's not happy about that call.
And it seems that Kevin Wallace has been given a flag and maybe ejected from this ball game.
Unsportsmanlike conduct is the call. The Raider fans, that's the first thing they've had to cheer about. Listen to the Raider fans. And with the rain coming down here at Raider Field and your team trailing by a score of 37-0. And now the Purples have been assessed with a timeout. Second timeout of the first half against Bowling Green with 51 seconds to go. The Purples out in front by a score of 37-0.
Don't like to second guess the coach in any situation, but when your team is up 37-0, even though you have a penalty that moves the ball 10 yards up the field, it doesn't result in a first down, maybe getting a little too excited. And we've seen Kevin Wallace really get into some other ball games, but hurts his team there, gets a 15-yard penalty. So after a 10-yard penalty, now it's a 25-yard penalty. So it really moves the ball up the field. Warren East is now going to be on Bowling Green's 36-yard line with 51 seconds remaining. So really mounting a scoring threat without really doing much offensively.
And Kevin Wallace, if you see up there on the upper left part of your screen, there's Kevin still pleading his case with Corky Morse. And now finally, the conversation is broken up.
This is one of those situations, if you're an assistant coach, just kind of have to grab your head coach, pull him back a little bit, let him cool down so it doesn't erupt and maybe even cause the officials to call some penalties the other way later in the ball game. And you know that officials would never admit that that would happen, but it certainly does if you really get on them and really agitate them.
Well, now we're back to the action. I thought for a moment that Kevin Wallace may have been ejected from the ball game, or at least we'd be shooting free throws with a technical foul here. Well, wrong sport here, but Stuckey looking out. Britt throws a block. He loses the football, and he has to fall on it. On a 1st and 10, that's the 3rd play in a row. The Raiders have been thrown for a loss. As Tony mentioned, only the penalties have moved the Raiders downfield. So despite everything else, the Bowling Green defense still swarming.
So the defense shows their composure after moving the ball 25 yards up the field, able to come in and really hit the quarterback hard that time. And now we see the other quarterback, Jeremy Stuckey, in the ball game after Kalen Young had completed 4 passes for 34 yards. Randy Reese remains true to what he told us before the ball game and now puts in Jeremy Stuckey into the ball game.
And we've got another timeout on the field with 34.3 seconds to go. And you can look at this either way. One, the Raiders are setting up to try to do something on offense, or if unsuccessful, it's giving Bowling Green more time to possibly put in another score before the end of the first half. So here we go on a 2nd down and 15 from the purple 40-yard line. Only the 2nd time this half the Raiders have been in purple territory. And now we're set to go. The rain's still coming down, but not quite as hard. It is more of a light drizzle. Stuckey looking to throw deep downfield. Well, that's the 3rd and final timeout for the Raiders with now 14 seconds to go.
We apologize for the silence there, changing the tapes so we can show you what happens here at the end of the 2nd quarter.
Randy Reese out on the field. If you're Randy Reese, what are you talking about right now, Tony?
Well, if you're Randy Reese, you're really just telling your players to keep playing hard, keep chugging, stay with the game plan, even though it might be hard, and just try and get in there and get at least 1 touchdown and get something positive on the scoreboard.
It's a 4th down and 3. Joyner in motion, and Stuckey looking to throw. Out in the right flat, it is picked off. Anthony was the intended receiver. And it's Bowling Green football. As the clock runs out to end the first half, it ends on an interception by the Bowling Green Purples. 2nd interception of the ball game. 1 each for Stuckey, 1 for Kalen Young. It was picked off by DeMont Franklin, his counterpart at number 1, his 2nd interception of the ball game. And that wraps it up here in the first half as the Purples go into the locker room along with the Raiders. And the Raiders down by a score of 37-0. We'll be back to recap the first half and bring you these total stats in just a few moments here on TKR Cable. Welcome back to Raider Field, an extended halftime program, senior night here at Warren East, but Raider fans haven't had much to cheer about as they trail by a score of 37-0 at the hands of the 2nd-ranked team in Class 3A, 3rd in the Lichtgenhaus ratings, 37-0 in favor of the Bowling Green High Purples. We'll recap the scoring and the stats for you here momentarily. First, Warren East kicking off for the first time in this ball game. And the Purples scramble for it back at about the 15-yard line, and the Purples will take over 1st and 10 with good field position at about their own 37-yard line as Flippin on the return for the Purples, and he will stay in the ball game. He will be joined by Taylor, Woods, Green, and Beard in the backfield. Those players will rotate in the backfield, Beard the quarterback. It'll be Borders at tight end, DeMont Franklin at the split end, and Gray, Moran, Joyner, Hunt, and Withrow up front. 1st and 10 Purples, resting with a comfortable lead. Final game of the regular season. Quentin Woods gets the pitch left side, and he is taken down by Stephen Anthony. Quickly, a recap of the scoring, or check that of the stats here in the first half.
Bowling Green was able to outgain the Warren East Raiders by 202 yards of total offense, accumulating 297 yards of total offense, 204 on the ground, and 93 through the air. The Warren East Raiders, 95 yards of total offense, rushing the ball for 48 yards, all from Jeremy Britt, 23 carries for 48 yards, and only 47 yards through the air.
On 2nd down and 8 now for the Purples. Quentin Woods gets the call again. Forrester on the tackle, but not until Woods gets across the 45-yard line. And he'll be about 2 yards shy of a Bowling Green first down. How about some individual numbers? It was all Quentin Woods in the first half for the Purples.
Certainly was Quentin Woods in the first half, and only on 8 carries able to accumulate, or 7 carries rather, 168 yards. So really carrying the bulk of the load for the Bowling Green Purples.
On 3rd down and 1 now. The give is to the fullback, Tremaine Taylor, and he easily has the first down, carrying Stephen Anthony and also Brown as he gets across the midfield stripe for a Purple first down. Well, everyone thought Jeremy Britt would pick up a lot of yardage in this ball game, but Bowling Green's really held him in check in the first half.
Certainly have, but on the other side of the ball, Bowling Green's Quentin Woods able to get a 95-yard touchdown run in 16 seconds and a 46-yard touchdown run in only 11 seconds, elapsing off the clock.
On 1st and 10, they give it to the second man through. This is Jeremy Flippin, who in the first half had a 10-yard touchdown run. And Flippin gets down to the Raider 45-yard line. So Bowling Green looks like it is coming out to establish the ground game here in the 3rd quarter. And if things all hold true, Bowling Green, of course, will win the district, have a perfect 10-0 record going into the playoffs, and likely take on either Hopkins County or Union County. And we'll have to see how things take place in the final regular season ball game. Chuck Beard looking to throw, firing deep down the right side, throws up a wobbler, but DeMont Franklin catches it, flag down on the play, and Franklin easily scampers into the end zone. We'll wait and see why the flag is down on the play. If it stands, it'll be a 45-yard touchdown.
It was the 2 number 1s out there on that play, Jeremy Stuckey for the Warren East Raiders and DeMont Franklin, and it appears to be it is a touchdown. The penalty was defensive pass interference. So once again, Bowling Green's offense strikes quickly in less than 2 minutes coming off the clock, scoring once again, this time DeMont Franklin through the air for a 45-yard touchdown.
It has been the quick strike offense all night. Now Davis, 4 out of 5 on his extra point attempts. And again, same style of kick, but just does get it inside the left crossbar, or left goalpost rather. And Davis bangs it through, and it is now 44-0 in favor of the Purples.
And that time, only 1 minute and 52 seconds coming off the clock to score the touchdown. So once again, Bowling Green showing the ability to strike quickly, and in the first half, 46 seconds and 4 touchdowns. And that's absolutely amazing.
Well, and as we get set to kick off here, let's go ahead and recap that first half in case you just joined us. Joe Davis opened the scoring with a field goal, making it 3-0. Then Quentin Woods, as Tony mentioned, scored on that 95-yard touchdown, making it 10-0. As we see Patrick Reynolds about set to kick off. Woods scored on a 46-yard TD, later on a 1-yard TD. Beard connected with DeMont Franklin on a 33-yard touchdown pass. Jeremy Flippin ran it in from 10 yards out, and that's where he stood at halftime, 37-0. And now as the kickoff is underway, headed downfield for Britt. And the ball, Britt's waiting for it to go out of bounds, and it does. And that means that the Raiders will take it with good field position at the 35-yard line. And now Bowling Green has extended its lead to 44-0 following, again, a quick strike as Chuck Beard, 45 yards to DeMont Franklin. It's very difficult to cover DeMont Franklin 1-on-1, 2-on-1, even 3-on-1 in the first half, and he came down with the pass.
Certainly is. He came down with the pass, scored 2 touchdowns, and as well he's had 2 interceptions in this ball game. And just when it looks like Bowling Green was going to maybe slow it down, run the ball on the ground, try to run out the clock, they work on the passing game a little bit. Probably not trying to run up the score, but just working on something that they might use in the playoffs.
1st and 10 from the 35. Stuckey at quarterback. The give is to Jeremy Britt, the All-State running back. Looks to pick up 3 yards on his first carry of the second half. Jeremy Britt last week against Barron County, 255 yards in the first half alone, wound up with about 340 for the game. He is nowhere near that number tonight.
Certainly hasn't been the story tonight, and on 24 carries, only 50 yards. That's barely over 2 yards per carry. That's very uncharacteristic of Jeremy Britt thus far in the season, but you got to give the credit to the Bowling Green defense.
On 2nd down and 7, a little play action. Stuckey in trouble in the backfield, gets away from several tacklers. Now he's still scrambling for his life, and Eric Helm buries him behind the line of scrimmage.
You wondered how Jeremy Stuckey even got away that time, but Eric Helm just making sure the play didn't develop to any positive yardage for the Raiders and bringing him down for a loss. And that's really been the story all night on the side of the ball for Bowling Green. The defense really coming out, showing that they can stop Warren East not only on the ground but through the air.
Stuckey came up real slow on that play. Now he appears to be okay, but he looked to be a little shaken up.
He did take a big hit that time, and from only a 200-yard linebacker in Eric Helm, but it's not always the size that matters, it's how hard you hit the guy.
On 3rd and 11, Anthony going a little bit in motion back behind the quarterback, and they pitch back to Jeremy Britt. Play a little slow in developing, but Britt makes up for that, but he's still going to be about 5 yards shy of the first down. He picked up 6, but he needed 11. And now the punting team comes on, and a man who had trouble with a couple of punts in the first half, Brian Finn, goes back to punt. Quentin Woods and DeMont Franklin say, hey, if you get it, I'll block for you. Let's take it into the green grass of the end zone again.
And believe it or not, for Jeremy Britt, the second longest carry of the evening, and that's only 6 yards.
That one getting a little bit more yardage downfield, but Franklin has some open field room in front of him, and he's out across the midfield stripe. In fact, right at about midfield is where they mark it, and Bowling Green again will have good field position. Only one time in this ball game did Bowling Green not have good field position, and that is when the Raiders turned the ball over and Bowling Green had it deep on its own 5-yard line. But on the very first play is when Quentin Woods went 95 yards for the score. Now the Purples only need 50 yards for another score. 7.5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Terry Likes alongside Tony Bobrowski. The final regular season game for both of these clubs. T.C. Green gets the handoff, and he picks up 1, maybe 2 yards on the carry before being brought down by the Raiders.
We haven't seen his name called much this evening, only the 3rd time he's touched the ball, but now with the big lead, probably think he's going to see the ball a few more times. And don't be surprised, actually, to see Bowling Green try and throw the ball here, because they're going to want to work on the passing game for the up-and-coming playoffs and keep the passing game sound.
We had a little rain in the first half, but it appears to have subsided for the moment. Beard pitches to Quentin Woods, and his footing seems to be good. Quentin Woods up the seam all the way in. Quentin Woods with another touchdown for Bowling Green. A 48-yard touchdown that time for Quentin Woods. So he's already scored 95 yards, 46 yards, 1 yard out, and now a 48-yarder, his 4th TD of the ball game. He did that earlier in a contest against Barron County where he had 4 touchdown runs.
Absolutely amazing. Another touchdown run for Quentin Woods. Came into this game expecting it to be the Jeremy Britt show, and instead it's been the Quentin Woods show. And get this, on 10 carries, 224 yards.
Davis this time bangs it through, and it is now 51-0 in favor of the Purples.
And for those of you at home, 224 yards, that's a 22.4 yard average for Quentin Woods, and that's amazing. That's really getting the job done. We came into the game talking about Jeremy Britt averaging 7.3, but when you average 22.4, you really gotta give the game ball to this point to Quentin Woods, already over 200 yards, and we're only in the 3rd quarter. And once again, Bowling Green showing its ability to score ever so quickly. That time only taking about 32 seconds off the clock.
And to give you an idea of Bowling Green's domination on offense this year, in the first half alone, Bowling Green has outscored its opponents 224-47. And they have also owned the 3rd quarter now outscoring its opponents by about a 3-1 margin, 96-34. Again, the quick strike offense. Here in the second half alone, Beard, the 45-yard TD pass to Franklin, making it 44-0. And now Quentin Woods from 48 yards out goes in nearly untouched for another touchdown, his fourth of the ball game. Reynolds getting sore just kicking off, and this time taken by an up man. It is Brown, normally a wide receiver, and he sets up the Raiders with good field position at about the 37-yard line. That's where we are, 6:37 to go, third quarter. And Bowling Green may soon be putting in some subs, Tony, as they will start looking ahead toward next week.
Probably so. Want to give some of your offensive starters a rest. And why not, when every time they have touched the ball on 8 drives, 8 scores, 7 touchdowns, and 1 field goal.
1st and 10 Raiders. Stuckey remains at quarterback. Tries to hit his intended receiver, Brian Finn, at about the 47-yard line, but Chris Franklin, that time, able to break it up, and again, good coverage that time by the Purples.
The defense continues, even with a 51-point lead, just to say, I'm not going to let you catch that ball. You're not going to run the ball. They've already proven that Jeremy Britt is going to be contained. And the defense really, even though the offense, it's been an offensive display, the defense of Bowling Green has been quite a story as well.
Stuckey again looking to throw, tipped downfield, and picked off. Picked off by Brian Lauder, the junior, and that is the 3rd interception of the ball game for the Purples. 2 by DeMont Franklin, and now 1 by Brian Lauder. And they always say the defenders will work on that tip drill and pass in practice because it will come in handy. And that time the ball was tipped. Lauder, a nice diving stab that time, and he is able to pick it off. The Purples 8 for 8 on offense, as you heard Tony say. Chuck Beard remains in at quarterback. Randy Reese must be in disbelief as his defense has not been able to match up with the Bowling Green offense. DeMont Franklin flanked out to the near side. Bowling Green now operating out of the I formation. Taylor the fullback, TC Green the running back. Green has the ball, and they're just going straight up the middle on the Purples. That's how Wood scored on the previous possession. And TC Green gets into Raider territory down to the 41-yard line.
However, there is a flag thrown in the backfield, and it is going to be holding, and it'll probably set up 1st and 15. We'll wait and see. It might be a 10-yard penalty as they walk back even farther. Looks like it will be. Well, looks like it will be a 10-yard penalty, so it's going to set up 1st and 20 now.
It's 10 yards from the original line of scrimmage, so it moves Bowling Green back to its own 39-yard line. It negates the good run by TC Green. And with 6:24 to go in the 3rd, Bowling Green still with its starters in the ball game. We'll check the record books here in a moment, but Bowling Green's offense owns several state records against Warren East. This time, the pass is complete downfield, back into Raider territory, and complete by Damon Anthony, and a flag down after the play is over. Damon Anthony, nowhere near the success on number of receptions compared to DeMont Franklin. They alternate in plays from the line of scrimmage. By my count, that's only his 2nd reception of the season. Unsportsmanlike conduct against the Purples.
So an unfortunate call once again. Bowling Green, really no need for such penalties like that when you have the 51-point lead. Just catch the ball and get up, and don't know really what happened on that play, but maybe a little bit of words, a little bit of pushing, but not very smart. You hate to see that when you're a head coach, especially when you have such a big lead.
So the Purples will have to get to the Raider 42-yard line to pick up the 1st down. And it brings up now a 2nd down and about 20. Beard, quick pitch to TC Green. Green trying to get outside. Another flag down on the play. Green back into Raider territory. We'll see what the flag is this time.
So all of a sudden it's become a flag-filled 3rd quarter. Bowling Green, every time they're able to get a positive offensive gain, it seems to be brought back by a penalty. And this time it's going to be holding again, and that's going to bring the ball back even farther, although it will remain 1st down.
Scoreboard says first down. The chains say second down. Nonetheless, they needed 20 for the first. This will back them up another 10 from the original line of scrimmage. So the Purples will need 30 yards to pick up a first down. Again, they still need to get to the Raider 42-yard line, and the ball now at the Purple 29.
So that sets up by the scoreboard, 1st and 30. The chain gang, apparently it is 2nd and 30.
Backs are split in the backfield behind Chuck Beard, and the give this time is to the fullback Tremaine Taylor. Stephen Anthony in there on the stop for the Raiders. Typically you hear that word Raider, and in football people think of penalties because of the Oakland Raider image, and yet the penalties in this half have been going against the Purples.
Yes, they have, and the Oakland Raiders in the NFL have led the NFL in penalties for the last 7 years. So, yes, as you mentioned, when you mention Raider, you think of penalty, but not so here. It's the Purples racking up all the penalties.
This time, T.C. Green going in motion. Beard heaving it deep downfield, looking for that first down yardage, but it is incomplete, thrown just over the head of his intended receiver, DeMont Franklin. Covered on the play by Brandon Lee of the Raiders.
Good coverage that time. Overthrown a little bit by Chuck Beard.
And this will be the first punt of the ball game for the Purples. And DeMont Franklin had to go all the way downfield on that bomb. Now will step back for his first punt of the ball game.
But how can you score when you have 3 straight plays and penalties and back the ball up and then set it up for 2nd down and 30?
High snap, good athletic play. Franklin, end over end kick taken by Jeremy Britt at his 32, and he's stopped at the 35. Robert Reynolds down there to make the stop for the Purples. And the Raiders again will have decent field position just outside their own 35-yard line with 5:13 to go, third quarter. And the Purples on top, 51-0.
And on that play, really the story of the ball game to this point, Chris Franklin also in on the tackle. And he just held on to the shoe into the leg of Jeremy Britt. And that's kind of been that's been the story of the ball game offensively. Jeremy Britt has had good intentions and has gained some yards, but the Bowling Green defense has been there every time to stop him.
Stuckey again looking to throw. This time hits Finn out in the left flat, but only picks up a couple of yards on the play. Well, in checking the KHSAA record books before the ball game, Bowling Green a couple of times against Warren East has really racked up the yardage, including last year's game. For total offense for one game, 747 yards. That was in the big 67-25 victory over Warren East. This time, Jeremy Britt not going anywhere. We do have another flag down on the play. A frustrating night for the junior All-State tailback, Jeremy Britt, over 2,000 yards last year and again this year. Not going far on that play. We've got a face mask, and that's what I thought it might be. 3 Bowling Green defenders there stopping Britt on the play.
So Bowling Green, even though they own the big lead, really falling apart mentally, all kinds of penalties. And we talked about when Kevin Wallace came on the field in the first half, and when your coach goes out there with a big lead and makes a silly play and gets a penalty, and at that point made it a 25-yard penalty, that really tells your players that it's okay to go out there and do that as well. And the team has exhibited that, even though they've been able to offensively move the ball.
So it's a first down for the Raiders. Stuckey gives to Britt, and Britt just bowls his way forward inside the 45-yard line to about the 43 in purple territory.
And Britt, certainly his most frustrating game of the season. Now on 26 carries, he only has 58 yards, and that is his lowest total of the season. And he has not been held under 100 yards in any game this season, but Bowling Green is making a bid to do just that.
Held to 176 yards in the loss against Greenwood. Stuckey looking to throw. Thrown down, and another flag is thrown down. We're seeing as many passes as flags here
Now
and
we see
another flag going down. We may have some warnings by the officials now.
That time, Sean Canary, Free Harrison of Bowling Green, getting into it with the ball carrier or the intended receiver of the Warren East Raiders. And that was number 85, Stephen Anthony.
Your referee for this ball game is Corky Morse. He is joined by Ali Emerine, Jay Allen, Dan Traz, and Andy Strain, and they're getting a workout here in the second half. Corky Morse says it's a hold against Bowling Green, or rather Warren East, unsportsmanlike conduct also against Warren East.
So not only is it the Bowling Green Purples making some costly middle mistakes, the Warren East Raiders now show a little bit of frustration and get 2 penalties on the same play, so it's all of a sudden become a penalty-filled third quarter. And just like you said, Terry, yellow flags all over the place.
And you don't see that too often, in that 2 flags on the same play against the same team, and they assess the yardage of both penalties.
And maybe the teams, after the raindrops have started to falling, now the yellow flags are starting to fall out on the field.
It's because the holding call occurred, that's 10 yards, and then it was after the play had ended, a dead ball foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, assessing another 15 against the Raiders. So it's going to bring up second down now and 30.
And Bowling Green might have actually gotten away with one there, kind of taunting the player of Warren East, but they didn't see the taunting and the talking.
Stuckey under center, 3-step drop, looks for Anthony, tipped on the play by Brian Rose, and Anthony never had a chance. The Raiders actually have to get to the Bowling Green 38-yard line in order to pick up a first down.
So we saw 3rd and 30 for the Bowling Green Purples, and now on possession by the Raiders, it's 3rd and 30 for them as well.
51-0 is your score in favor of the Purples. Kevin Wallace trying to go undefeated for the 2nd regular season in a row in his 2nd season at the helm of Bowling Green High. On 3rd down, Stuckey heaving it downfield, has Anthony open, complete and dropped. He had that one, and if it had been complete and he could have held on and run for a couple more yards, he was close to having that first down, but that's been the kind of night it has been for Warren East.
Really has, and Stephen Anthony just thinking a little bit about the RAC on that one. That's the run after catch, of course. Just had the ball right in his hands, but wasn't able to hold on.
Bowling Green, the number 2 team in the state, according to the Associated Press, and living up to it in this game. Finn, downfield kick this time, taken by DeMont Franklin. They fake the fake, and to Franklin, running down the sidelines, still on his feet inside the 20, and another flag down on the play as Franklin gets near the 15-yard line. An excellent return. DeMont Franklin, along with Quentin Woods, has really been a star. Franklin on offense and on defense.
That time the punter, Brian Finn, had a chance to bring down DeMont Franklin. He slowed him up, but really just didn't make a very good effort to bring DeMont Franklin down. But that's going to happen sometimes late in the ball game when you're down so many points. And that's another penalty against Bowling Green. So after a good return, they're going to move it back. I don't know if they're going to bring it all the way back. We'll wait and see. The referee is trotting down the field. It's not going to bring it all the way back, but it looks like a 10-yard penalty.
No, it's going to be 15, a clip assessed against the Purples. And on the return, negating a fine return by DeMont Franklin. Franklin with 2 touchdowns on offense, 2 touchdown receptions from Chuck Beard, also 2 interceptions on defense. Right now, Damon Anthony in at the wideout, replacing Franklin. And they gave us to T.C. Green out of the backfield on first down. Fumbled on the play. And Bowling Green's offensive lineman, Lee Hunt, able to recover. And again, that is the way that things have been going for the Purples. Even when your back fumbles it, your lineman recovers.
That's been the way all the right bounces for Bowling Green tonight, but once again, another mental mistake. We see the fumble there, and that's got to be a concern for the coach, Kevin Wallace of Bowling Green.
Michael Foster now split out to the near side for the Purples. Beard pitches to Green. Green following his blockers, and he is down to the 15-yard line. And another first down for the Purples. Damon Anthony checks back into the ball game as you get a good look at the sophomore, T.C. Green, on the carry. Over 500 yards for the season for T.C., including a 31-yard touchdown against Logan County. Damon Anthony split out to the far side of the field. Stuart Borders is the tight end, strong side left. Quentin Woods back in the ball game in the backfield for the Purples, along with Tremaine Taylor. Taylor gets the call this time. Check that. It is Jeremy Flippin who got the call. Number 32, Jeremy Flippin.
So now 4 guys have seen the ball for the Bowling Green Purples. Tremaine Taylor, 6 carries for 35 yards. Quentin Woods, 10 carries, once again, for 224 yards. T.C. Green now, 4 carries for 17 yards. And Jeremy Flippin, 3 carries for 10 yards.
And on a second down and 9, the give is to Flippin right up the middle again. Flippin breaking tackles and doing a good job falling forward as Flippin is down inside the 10 near the 5-yard line.
And Flippin was just trying to break through to score there, and after his teammates have scored so many times, DeMont Franklin with 2 touchdowns. And
it'll bring up a third down and about 1, so the Purples can pick up a first down if they can get to about the 5-yard line. Flippin already has a 10-yard touchdown in this ball game, and the Purples knocking at the door again, trying to extend the lead, which currently stands at 51-0. 3rd and 1. Chuck Beard under center. This time gives it to Flippin. And Flippin will be close to a first down. Tackle made by Greg Flora of Warren East.
So Quentin Woods has scored 3 times. DeMont Franklin has scored 2 times. Jeremy Flippin has scored once. And they're trying to, looks like, give Jeremy Flippin a couple more carries and allow him to score again. We'll see if they give him the ball here as the clock winds down here in the 3rd quarter.
Ben Simpson checks back in on defense. And we've got a 1st and goal at the 4 for the Purples with under 40 seconds to go here in the 3rd. Quentin Woods gets the call. And he does not get into the end zone. 30 seconds to go now, 3rd quarter. And it'll bring up a 2nd down and goal for the Purples at about the 3-yard line.
So for the first time tonight, Bowling Green starts to eat up a little bit of clock. This will now go over the time expires here, and they don't get off a play in the 3rd quarter. That will be 3 minutes and 12 seconds of possession as they come to the line with about...
Beard looks up at the clock, realizes the quarter's about to end, and he lets it expire. At the end of 3, your score, Bowling Green 51, Warren East nothing. Here at Warren East High School, it is senior night, and the seniors haven't had much to cheer about. Well, Tony, let's go ahead and look at the playoff situation then. We are 1 quarter away from the 1997 playoffs. And Bowling Green, the number 2 team in the state, looks like it is going to take on either Union County or Hopkins County, which will be the 4th seed in the opposite district of the district that Bowling Green is in. Meanwhile, Warren East, which record will fall to 5-5, 3-2 in the district, likely is going to take on Callaway County at this point, and that will be a tough opponent. If you think back, Bowling Green lost in the 2nd round last year to Callaway County, and that will be a tough game.
Callaway County, certainly a team that really gets it together towards the postseason, really is a tough team, not a team you want to see in the playoffs. And for Warren East, you've had a little bit of a struggle here, but you can shake that off. But really a tough opponent in Callaway County, which they've already mentioned will be at home here at Warren East next weekend.
So both teams taking a long time to go 97 yards downfield the other way.
Bowling Green hasn't ended this possession yet, but 3 minutes and 12 seconds, the longest possession of the evening, and that really tells the story. Bowling Green has scored 7 times, and 7 times they have done it in under 3 minutes.
Well, here we go, 2nd and goal. Bowling Green trying to punch it into the end zone. Chuck Beard wants the call as it was Flippin on the carry. And Flippin is very, very close, but not in the end zone. He's down to the 1-yard line. Damon Anthony's in the ball game. In the backfield, you have T.C. Green, Quentin Woods, and Jeremy Flippin. It will be 3rd and goal at the 1. Chuck Beard remains at quarterback. Stuart Borders the tight end. DeMont Franklin now brings a play in from the sidelines. Franklin splits out to the far side. It's a wishbone formation with Flippin at fullback. Green and Quentin Woods, the tailback. They give it to Flippin straight up the middle. He stacked up at the line of scrimmage and did not get in. It'll be 4th and goal at the 1. So the Raider defense really holding tough. A little surprised Bowling Green hasn't gone outside with a call. They keep pounding it up the middle.
Trying to go inside. The Warren East defense showing maybe their best defensive stand of the evening, really trying to prevent Bowling Green from getting in the end zone and making this score get even further out of hand. Now it sets up 4th and 1.
And we'll see what the Purples go with. Sometimes you opt for a quarterback sneak here. They have a stable of running backs, and they give it to Flippin, I believe the Raiders have held. Flippin got the call, and for the Raiders, it was Greg Flora on the stop on 4th down. So a turnover on downs, and the Raiders will take over deep in their own territory at the 1-yard line, but that was an impressive stand right there.
Certainly was, and on a night where there hasn't been much to cheer about or anything to get happy about for either the fans or the team, the defense makes a stand. Now the unfortunate thing is the offense starts on their own 1-yard line.
Well, if anything, this is where Jeremy Britt says, give it to me, I'll go 99 yards. And Britt gets the call. He has 98 yards to go.
And of
Not
course,
much for Jeremy Britt this evening.
Of course, it would be exciting to see a 99-yard run by Jeremy Britt, but the Bowling Green defense has proved that it's unlikely for that to happen. No rush over 10 yards this evening for Jeremy Britt. His longest rush of the evening is only 8 yards.
Finn splits out to the near side on 2nd down. And still about 10 yards to go. Britt looking for open running room. He runs into DeMont Franklin, picks up some yardage, and gives his punter some room to work, just in case the Raiders aren't able to pick up a 1st down. They move the sticks, and Britt got about 8 yards on that carry to bring up a 3rd down and about 2.
Really a bit surprising that Britt has seen every carry tonight. When he struggled a little bit, the Bowling Green defense has done a good job, but Derek Forrester has not seen even 1 carry tonight, and this is a situation where maybe if you're the coach, you want to mix it up a little bit. Even though Bowling Green knows you're probably going to run the ball, give the ball to Derek Forrester, make them at least think twice that the fullback might see the ball.
Well, most often they're going with a 1-back set in this ball game, and Britt is that back. And this time we have a stoppage in the action before the play gets underway. A flag down on the field. Corky Morris and company, a real workout.
So a half that was moving along relatively quickly has now seen about 8 penalties in the last 5 to 6 minutes.
Wow, when you're deep in your own territory, the Purples go off sides, and that's enough for a 1st down. That is a real break for the Raider offense right there.
A break for the Raiders, and once again, Bowling Green's defense, although they've played a good game, is showing some more mistakes. And if you're Kevin Walsh, that's got to be something that you're going to work on. You're going to have to stress going into the playoffs, because you can't have that happening and a costly mistake that can cost you a game in the early rounds.
Now we have Joyner and Finn split out to the near side. Britt, the lone setback, and Britt gets the call. And he's not going anywhere again. A frustrating night for Britt and the Raider offense. They have been shut out in this contest. Looking at this series, it was 67-25 last year, 47-7 in favor of Bowling Green 2 years ago, 42-6 3 years ago, 54-13 in '93. That shows you the trend, and that is why Bowling Green has dominated this series, 16-1 over the last 17 years. And add this one to that mix.
Jeremy Britt, quite a frustrating evening, 29 carries for 90 yards, but in the last few carries, he has managed to get that average up to about 3 yards. It had been 2 yards, so even though it's been frustrating, it really shows the grit and determination of Jeremy Britt to continue to move the ball.
And Brett Childers Appears to be shaken up on the play. He's being helped off. Looks like his left leg is hurt at this time, and that is something you don't want to see. Brent Childers, 6'4", 260-pound junior. And as you're getting ready for a playoff game, that's not what you want to see, is to have one of your big guys go down. Tony, as you mentioned earlier in this ball game, East has really been banged up all year. This is the first time in a long time they've had all of the players back.
Certainly have. Only 3 players have played all season. Jeremy Britt luckily to be one of those guys, but the offensive and defensive line been banged up all season long.
Now out of the shotgun, and they snap it over Stuckey's head. Britt trying to scramble for the football. He does pick it up. Now he's running for his life. And Jeremy Britt with a heads-up play just to get that football. It looked like out of the shotgun with Britt standing right next to the quarterback, they might try a little draw play there, but Stuckey and Britt never had a chance.
And if you're Randy Reese of the Warren East Raiders, this is a game that you just have to throw out the window. Just consider it a loss, though you did get beat by a lot of points. You can't consider it like that. It's a game. Don't worry about it. You're going into the playoffs with the 2nd seed. Can still ride the back of an all-state running back through the playoffs, and just have to focus.
3rd and 15. Stuckey with some time, complete, out in the right flat, but not enough for a first down, as it was complete to Brown. A few subs in the game now for Bowling Green on defense, including Skylar Waller at 320 pounds and Shobe in at 340 pounds.
Wait a minute, did you say 320 pounds? There are guys in the NFL that are not that big.
320 and 340. Break out the calculator, Tony. That tremendously increases.
And these guys are only sophomores, and although they might be a little big, if you got to figure that in off-season training, weight training, maybe some fitness, you can get those guys down. That's going to be possibly a huge advantage for Bowling Green in the future. They will be juniors next year. Seeing a little bit of playing time in a blowout here. But when you have guys that big, I mean, what are you doing? You got to be feeding them something. Talk about the corn-fed players for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, but they're certainly feeding them something.
With 7:04 to go here in the ball game, Bowling Green utilized its first timeout here in the second half. It's a 4th down. Finn back to punt for the Raiders. And deep for the Purples at about midfield, Quentin Woods and DeMont Franklin. Things a little slow to develop along the line of scrimmage. 51-0 is your score. In case you just joined us, it has been all Bowling Green. DeMont Franklin with 2 TD pass receptions, 2 interceptions, and Quentin Woods running for over 200 yards. Here's the punt. And it's a good one this time by Finn, driving Franklin back to the 43-yard line. Good downfield pursuit, and no return for Franklin. The best punt of the ball game for Brian Finn. And the Purples will take over 1st and 10 at their own 41-yard line.
So even though Warren East is being beat here badly, they have not shown that they're giving up. It has been a frustrating evening, but now Britt shows a few good carries here. Brian Finn has his best punt of the night, and if you're Randy Reese, that's really what you want to see. Of course, you're not expecting to really get back in this ball game, and certainly not win the ball game, but you want your team to give it their all and still play as hard as possible.
Some clean jerseys checking into the ball game, including a new quarterback, Darius Fant, who pitches to T.C. Green. And Green taken down at the 43-yard line. So a pickup of 2 for T.C. Green, and we get to see the young sophomore quarterback, Darius Fant. We mentioned that all 3 running backs for Bowling Green, Taylor, Woods, T.C. Green, and Jeremy Flippin, actually all 4, are returning next year, but they do lose quarterback Chuck Beard. He's the only member of the backfield that will graduate, so here's Darius Fant, possibly the new quarterback of the future. Fant this time gives off to Flippin, and Flippin able to pick up good yardage near the first down marker. He'll be about 2 yards shy as he is close to midfield.
And of course, if you are a Purple fan, you'd like to see the Bowling Green offense bring along Darius Fant a little bit, but when you have 3 running backs that can run the ball so effectively, you can rely on that. And next season, they can bring along Fant, have him pass a little bit, and still rely on the strength of 3 running backs that have the capability to run for 100 yards apiece in a ball game.
Tim Withrow split to the near side, and they give it to the second man through Green. And Green has a Bowling Green first down. TC Green picking up good yardage.
So now Green gets some carries here in the fourth quarter. Now 6 carries and for 26 yards.
First down stops the clock. As soon as the chain's set up, the clock moves. Bowling Green will be content to keep the clock moving at this point. Chris Franklin, check that. Michael Foster is flanked out to the near side as a receiver. It remains Flippin and Green in the backfield. And this time the give is to Jeremy Flippin, but he does not go anywhere on that carry, as he was brought down on the play by Derek Forrester and Greg Flora. Darius Fant as quarterback, 5'9", 160-pound sophomore. And before the season, asking Kevin Wallace if there were any weaknesses, he said, well, we don't have any depth at quarterback. And now they've been able to develop Darius Fant during the year, and he has seen action in several games, primarily in mop-up duty, such as this one. So on second down and 10, they give it to another stable of running backs, this time McKissick in as a freshman. With 4:15 to go in the ball game, Rashard McKissick, 5'8", 150-pound freshman into the ball game.
And we mentioned the 300-pounders that checked into the ball game for the Bowling Green defense, but now number 76, David Lindsay, a 320-pound senior, has checked in the ball game. And although he will graduate, there will be some beef on the offensive and defensive lines for Bowling Green next year.
Damon Anthony now split to the near side. So new running backs, new quarterback, new receiver. Or Anthony's been in, but his jersey looks as clean as the new guys. Fant looking to throw. He's hit on the play. Is it a fumble or ruled an incomplete pass? Heads up play, Jeremy Flippin goes back to pick it up, but they're going to say it was an incomplete pass.
And even on that play, Jeremy Flippin not waiting to see if it was incomplete or if it was a fumble. Warren East, had it been a fumble, could have run for the touchdown, but Jeremy Flippin was going to make sure that the goose egg would stand and that the defense would be able to shut out the Warren East Raiders.
The other backup quarterback is DeMont Franklin, but he too is a graduating senior, and you want to give the younger guy some snaps so he'll come in next year and be ready to direct this offense. Franklin now back to punt. Jeremy Britt standing at his own 15. It's a good snap. He has time, just does get it away, however. A good rush put on. A flag down, as it looks like they may have run into the kicker. And if they did indeed run into DeMont Franklin, that will be a Bowling Green first down. 3:29 to go in the ball game. So the Purples will improve to 10-0 on the season. Warren East will fall to 5-5, but both teams headed for the playoffs.
Both teams headed for the playoffs, and of course we came in here not necessarily expecting a close game, but expecting a closer game. But Bowling Green has really just come in here and taking the offense and just moving it down the field, scoring quickly, and the defense has contained Jeremy Britt. Looks like they're going to hold him under 100 yards, which has not happened all season. Not for sure, but don't believe that has happened last season. So the first time possibly in 2 years that Jeremy Britt has been held under 100 yards.
And unless barring a miracle, he will still own the single season rushing record because he is over 300 yards ahead of his nearest competition. Well, because of the roughing the kicker penalty, Bowling Green maintains possession. 1st and 10, not going anywhere, as TC Green is thrown for a loss. So the Raider defense holding tough. Bowling Green with some subs in on offense, but still Flippin and Green in the backfield. So some frontline running backs. Bowling Green headed for a date with either Hopkins County or Union County in the first round of the playoff. Warren East looking like it will have a matchup with Callaway County. Of course, Hopkins County is in the Madisonville area. Union County is Morganfield area, and Callaway County is the Murray area. Good football here in the western part of the state. Play has gotten sloppy here late in the football game with Bowling Green sitting on a 51-0 lead. Fumble on the play. Warren East will take over. Bowling Green opened the game with a Davis field goal and a Woods 95-yard TD in the first quarter, and then they really poured it on in the second quarter. Woods with 2 more TDs, 46 yards, 1 yard out. Beard a TD pass to Franklin, flipping a 10-yard touchdown run, 37-0 at the half. Beard a TD pass here in the third quarter to Franklin. Woods a 48-yard TD, and that's where we stand at 51-0. Fumble on the play. Stuckey able to maintain possession, but again, not going anywhere. Because of that delay, the Bowling Green defensive pursuit was right there, and a host of new players in on defense for Bowling Green.
Stuckey thought he was going to be able to pick up that ball and maybe run for a little bit of a gain, but the 300-pounders, Schuler, Waller, and DeValio Shobe, were able to make the tackle. Really nowhere to go, and that time Stuckey faced 660 pounds of athlete.
Stuckey looking to throw. Out into the left flat. Has a man open, Brian Finn, and he's stuck on the play. Stuck on the play by Robert Reynolds, 6'3", 192-pound sophomore.
So quite a few bright spots we're seeing even in the second string players of Bowling Green. Really, if you're a Bowling Green fan, you like to see that for next year. You're going to have your bevy of running backs, 3 really strong running backs returning next year. And it looks like some good defensive replacements and some good offensive and defensive line replacements.
1:20 to go. Stuckey under center. This time, Jeremy Britt breaks free, and there he goes. Jeremy Britt with his first score of the ball game.
And with that carry, Jeremy Britt will go under 100 yards. So just when you think you were going to be, Bowling Green was going to hold him under 100 yards, Jeremy Britt takes the snap and goes 42 yards for the touchdown.
Now that was in Raider territory, correct?
Yes, I apologize. That was a
58-yard
TD.
Checking the math here, a 58-yard TD, giving the Raider fans something to cheer about. Looks like they will go for 2, as it is 51-6 right now. So from the 3-yard line, Stuckey under center, rolling out to the right. Britt picks up a block for him, and it is caught. The ball tipped up in the air and caught by 81 Adam Brown.
And although many might consider that touchdown by Jeremy Britt in garbage time, it's a touchdown nonetheless. And now Jeremy Britt with 128 yards, but it took him 30 carries to do it, Terry. And now he goes over 4 yards per carry, which for any running back is a good average, but nowhere near the 7.3 average that he has had all season long.
And it gives him roughly over 2,500 yards for the season.
And in a previous season, Jeremy Britt ran for over 2,400 yards as well, so that now gives Jeremy Britt nearly 5,000 yards in only 2 years of high school football, and he still has 1 more year to go.
Has a year to go, and
his freshman year, he had a broken leg.
He burst onto the scene last year in the opening game of the year, 340 yards against Greenwood, and made everyone stand up and take notice and say, hey, who is the little guy coming out of the backfield for Warren East? That little guy, 5'7", 180 pounds, he is tough. And right there, I don't care if the second team was in, whether it was the first team, you got to see the burst of speed that he has. You knew he was gone downfield. Raiders trying an onside kick here. And it looks like the Purples able to recover.
Looks like the Purples recover, and maybe Warren East trying to allow Jeremy Britt to beat his previous mark of 2,490 yards in his sophomore season, now on the year 2,472 yards rushing. So he's only 18 yards short of the mark of last year. That's consistency and consistency above 2,000 yards. And that's just amazing in any level, whether the high school, college, or professional ranks.
Now a minute 8 to go in the ball game. It's 51-8. And Darius Fant hands off to TC Green, and TC Green says, I want some yardage. He gets out to midfield to just inside Raider territory at the 49. And the clock is under a minute to go. Now they mark his forward progress right at the midfield stripe. Well, it's been fun to bring you our final regular season game here on TKR Cable. I'm Terry Likes alongside Tony Bobrowski. I want to thank our director, Cheryl Morris, also Jeff Edwards for his work this season. It's been great here at Warren East to have the crew of the Warren East students, the WEHS News team, and faculty advisor Edwin Moss helping out in this ball game. This time the handoff up the middle. That may have been the final play of the ball game. As you see those helping out here for this ball game. Also like to thank our statistician, Sabrina Tarpley, for helping out in this contest. Bowling Green improves to 10-0 for the regular season for the second straight year under Kevin Wallace. Final play of the ball game. The Purples try to get it off, but they do not. And that wraps it up here from Warren East High School. The Purples improve to 10-0 for the season and have a first-round date with either Hopkins or Union County. The Raiders fall to 5-5, but still move on to the playoffs, and will be taking on Callaway County. Tony, final thoughts about this one?
Even though it had been a frustrating game for the Warren East Raiders, really not able to get anything going offensively, on the last possession of the game, Jeremy Britt breaks free for a 58-yard touchdown. That gives him 128 yards on the night and really erases this loss, as big as it was, and allows the Warren East Raiders to go in and focus in the playoffs as well as Bowling Green.
It gives them a bright spot, something to look forward to next week's ball game. So he was a bright spot in the end for Warren East. You'd have to say that Chuck Beard had a fine ball game for Bowling Green. Quentin Woods over 200 yards. DeMont Franklin 2 interceptions and 2 touchdown receptions. Big ball games for those players for Bowling Green High. Again, Bowling Green, unblemished record for the season. Congratulations to Kevin Wallace and his team. Also congratulations to Randy Reese as his team is headed for the playoffs as well. We wish that both teams success in the playoffs. Well, that will do it here from Warren East High School. Again, your final score, 51 for Bowling Green, 8 for Warren East. So long from Bowling Green High. From Warren East High, that is.